Hey guys, welcome to Star Wars on High. Thank you for stopping by. We are back with a new week. Guys, I got to say off the top, appreciate all of your support over the last couple weeks as I have just been very busy with work and other things and unable to make as many videos as I normally would. But we are back and we are starting this week off right. Because I saw a post over the weekend on the unpopular opinion subreddit about Star Wars, and it seemed to get a pretty good amount of support. I think it's hitting about 13,000 upvotes. It's been awarded a lot, and folks in the comments seem to overwhelmingly agree as well. The post was called "Let Star Wars Die Peacefully," and when I read through, I disagree with a lot of it, and it kind of goes against the narrative that I have on this channel, which is that it's a better time than ever to be a Star Wars fan. And I know some people disagree, and I'm going to take the time to kind of defend that as we read through this post. But I thought it'd be kind of a fun exercise to see the other side, to look at it, to kind of give you guys my opinion, and we'll see where we land. So without further ado, let's dive in. All right, so here we are on the post. You see it has about 12.9K upvotes. And, right off the top, I want to say, I know I don't have to remind you guys because we're good about that here, but we do not go and leave mean or nasty comments on these posts. We can disagree. We can, let our opinions be heard, but we don't insult things like that. I don't like when people do it to me, so we definitely don't want to do that to other people as well. So it starts off by saying, I love Star Wars, and so did my cousin. Loved, so past tense. But over the last decade, I've seen a rushed and messy effort to keep the franchise going. To be honest, it isn't terrible, but it's losing the high standard it once upheld. Maybe that's true for all movie franchises. Okay, well, the last 10 years, the sequel trilogy and some of the animated programs, right? Because the Revenge of the Sith, Clone Wars, Attack of the Clones, all of that, Phantom Menace, was all done over a decade ago. So this user must believe that the prequels are a high standard. And I do too. I love the prequels. But let's stop right there. There are a ton of Star Wars fans who completely disagree, who think the prequels are not good, that actually damaged the original trilogy, and were not really George's best work. Now, we've seen this narrative flip, and it's because as my generation has grown older, the generation who grew up on the prequels, we've been able to get our opinions out there. We've been able to let our love for it known. And I'm imagining this user must be in that same kind of range. But it's not unanimous. There's a lot of fans who think after the original three, none of the Star Wars we've gotten has been high quality. So right off the bat, it's already, I think, very debatable, like everything in Star Wars. I will defend the prequels to the death. I think they're amazing. But there's a lot of people out there who think the sequel trilogy is great too, or whatever else has come in the last decade. So right off the bat, I think, again, it's totally subjective. I personally liked most of the cartoons, but at some point, you run out of spice. Okay? So you must like the Clone Wars show. I think we got a few good years left, but I seriously don't want the quality to slip anymore. Maybe something new will come out, but I doubt the time slot will allow too many more bangers. But I'll still enjoy our community and the last few good years we have before a new era comes. So that was the original post. Now, I disagree on a lot of this because the cartoons are still going strong. I mean, the Bad Batch is great, and he might say, well, yeah, that's the few good years we have left. But why do we predict the quality is still going to fall? All the projects that have been announced on the horizon are amazing. Everything that we see in the future, there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic about. Kenobi, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Andor, a lot of those shows that we're really hyped about. The book quality has been, there's a lot of A, re-releases of Legends, and B, new content. You guys know I really enjoy the High Republic. But not just that, we have Ronin coming out tomorrow. We have 2 new books that were announced during my absence that take place, in between the original trilogy and the sequels, and ones that are going to go back to the Clone Wars days. So a lot of good storytelling that's taken place. So in the next few years, as they kind of say, we do see a lot of good projects. I guess he's worried after that we'll lose any good material. But to me, that doesn't seem really based in anything, right? Except for just fear. And if anything, I am more positive and optimistic about the current trend of Star Wars than I was a couple years ago, because we have now got consistently great content. We've gotten 2 really good seasons of The Mandalorian. Bad Batch, which was really good. Again, I just talked about the books. I have high levels of optimism for the new shows coming out. So if anything, I've really liked the change of course we've seen with Star Wars moving to Disney Plus, and they don't seem to be just pumping out movies for movie's sake anymore. So right now, I tend to disagree. I think if anything, it's reason for us to be really optimistic. And one thing I talk about is not only do we have new content, if you don't enjoy any of that, you have more access than ever to the old. You guys have heard me say that 100 times. Now, let's go down to the comments first, and we'll see. He added some edits, but typically you edit your post after you've seen some of the feedback. So let's dive into the feedback. The top comment, or at least the top one I'm seeing, what is this filtered by? Best. Okay. Is there a top? Yeah, let's look at top. As long as it generates a profit, Disney will continue to run it to the ground. Okay, so, first of all, Star Wars is about making money. Any movie franchise is. A lot of the characters that have been developed in the prequel era and beyond are there for selling toys, and they're honest about that. They're for appealing to kids, right? And so this idea that as long as it generates a profit, yeah, of course. I mean, the reason it's generating a profit is because we, the fans, want it. If no one's buying it, no more movies. As a giant DC fan myself, okay, I've seen a lot of projects I was excited for canceled. And also, some Snyder cuts released based on what they perceived as demand. If your product is going to get interest and is going to make money, of course. So this comment does have a little bit of it'll run it into the ground, which is kind of like, oh, they're going to run it until the wheels fall off. But it's also like, yeah, I mean, if people want it, they'll keep making it. Of course they want to make money. So I don't really think, maybe the first movie was a passion project, but definitely it's a business making movies. So it keeps going down. This is all part of that thread. The idea that it's set in a galaxy, yet we keep following the same 20 characters around is a frustrating part to me. There are literal billions of other characters and stories that could be told within Star Wars, and we choose to ignore it all to bring back Palpatine. More Rogue One type movies would be excellent. Something not tied to the Skywalker timeline would be dope as well. Star Wars is cool, but Skywalker should run their course. Okay, now I'm with you. And this is where things like the High Republic and Visions really shine. And to some extent, I think what we're going to see in some of these other shows, because they are kind of branching off the Skywalker main path with Book of Boba Fett and Ahsoka. Of course, their stories intertwined, but with Mando as well, they're kind of doing their own things. Definitely connected. We saw Luke in the last season, but they do feel very separate to me. But I'm down with this, and this to me would be more of what I expect. I expect this is what Disney is going to be doing. The galaxy is large in Star Wars, but it's also small because it does revolve around the Skywalkers. That's what it's always been about for us, the viewers. And so as we go forward in this new era, I do expect to see this, and we're already getting it. Again, the High Republic, something that I've been a big fan of as well. Sometimes you do have to go to the books or the comics to get these stories, but they are out there. But something I can definitely get behind is more stories. I love Rogue One. If you guys saw my movie ranking, really big surprise for me. Let's see here. And you can see this really got all the conversation going. Now, I love Star Wars, but it never had high standards. It was always a B movie with bad dialogue and a predictable plot that was saved by an amazing score. Okay. And this kind of goes back to my first point. We talked about this was an amazing standard. Well, I think even that's debatable among the fandom. I think and great world building, agree. And I think Star Wars to many of us is different things. There's a general love for Star Wars. Everyone likes Star Wars. There's very few people who don't like a single moment or movie in Star Wars. Your experience with Star Wars is really tied to how you were introduced to it, how you grew up with it, how you consumed it. For me as a prequel era fan, I'm married to that time, right? I love those stories, of those Clone Wars, but there's fans who after the first 3, that was it for them. But they remember going to see it with, as this first, really cutting edge film in theaters. So it's really tied to your experience. And there's fans who love, I know it's hard to believe, guys. There are fans out there who love the sequel trilogy, and they don't do it to irk you. They just enjoyed those movies that you didn't. I'm going to take a look back at the sequel trilogy here shortly and give you guys my thoughts, but I think to pretend that no one could possibly like them is just not fair. Remakes, not sure what we're talking about. I have hope for the Filoni stuff, but not much else. And again, I think that's so silly because Filoni's been involved forever. A big Filoni fan, obviously. The guy is extremely talented. But the idea that only things he does are good, I think, ignores involvements in projects that haven't been well received. So now let's look at his kind of additional comments. Holy crap. I knew I was going to start something, but darn. This has been a very entertaining discussion. Thank you for those who awarded me, and thank you to the community that can still keep a good combo about our favorite intergalactic film. Thanks, may the force be with you. Next one, I want to explore the whole Star Wars universe as well. I really like Star Wars Squadrons and the Battlefront video games, and the Clone Wars was damn good. Star Wars just needs to keep going with the time. Star Wars is fun, and I want to enjoy all the cool new shows, games, and other brainstorm Disney can offer me. Maybe Star Wars won't end so soon, but we'll slowly find new intergalactic series to enjoy. Well, there's always been other options. There always has been. And as I've talked about with Star Wars Timeline before, I think there are different things that appeal to different people in Star Wars. I've never consumed the Legends content, but there are fans out there, to them that's so important. We've just had this Knights of the Old Republic remake announced. That, to a lot of fans, is going to be their Star Wars highlight of the year. Some of us, it's books. I've just started getting into Star Wars books in the last couple years, with the High Republic, and you've seen me kind of document my experience there. There's always something new to try with a different flavor. And so Star Wars has become this kind of title that is now covering a wider galaxy. We're expanding. And again, for some fans, I think what they feel is like, okay, well, that first experience, those first movies, that really contained universe, that was what Star Wars to me. Everything else now doesn't feel Star Wars. You might hear that. Or it's not George's vision. And, I understand that. And of course, that's the opinion you can have. But to me, this is just taking a new life. It's its second wind. And I think there's a lot of opportunity here for really cool stories. And, overall, and again, this post, and if I led you to believe it was like some crazy, radical, evil post, it's not. It's just something that I think a lot of fans think that I disagree with a little bit. So, respect to this guy for sharing, and he didn't seem to be insulting any fans or anything else. But I think, if we take a step back, we have a lot of reasons to be optimistic. We're going to they are giving us something for every era. Think about this. We have the Bad Batch for us prequel fans. Technically Ahsoka for us prequels fans too, right? For us Clone Wars fans. We have the Book of Boba Fett for you original trilogy fans, or just Boba Fett lovers like myself. We have the Rogue One tie-ins with Andor. We have Kenobi for the prequel era fans. We have High Republic for extended universe fans. I know it's not EU, but you get my point, for fans who like those stories that are, in different eras. Knights of the Old Republic remake for fans of that era. We also have just new books announced for the sequels fans. Hey, the Terrifying Tales Lego special was a lot there for sequels fans. I think they're giving us all something we can be excited about. And if we don't want it all, that's okay. Let's just pick and choose what we like. So just something I saw today I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on. Let me know what you guys think down below. I think it's good to sometimes take a look at other people's thoughts and kind of break them down a little bit and how we respond. So appreciate all your support. Looking forward to seeing you guys throughout the week. Ronin comes out tomorrow. Geesh, it is just always something coming out, always something on the horizon. So again, thank you guys for stopping by. We'll see you again very soon.